the PF7 brake service system. This machine's basically designed to replace or flush the old brake fluid out of a brake system on a vehicle by replacing it with new brake fluid. The machine's simple, it's real simple, it's air powered, and it uses 1 quart of brake fluid at a time. As you can see, we've got graduation marks here. When you get the machine full, it'll be approximately right here at this line, the new fluid fill line. As we do the service, the first step's basically going to fill the reservoir. The next step's going to be the first wheel, second wheel, third wheel, fourth wheel, and so on. The machine accomplishes the flush. It uses a pressurized system and a vacuum system. The first thing we need to do to start the flush, we need to remove all the old fluid out of the master cylinder, out of the reservoir, and refill it with new fluid. So we're going to take our suction wand with our suction hose. We're going to suck all the old fluid out of the reservoir. Once we get all the old fluid out of the reservoir, we're going to take our new fluid hose with our new fluid wand. We're going to dial up about 5 pounds of pressure on our gauge. We're going to open our ball valve. We're going to fill our reservoir. After our reservoir is full, we will identify the appropriate adapter we need for the vehicle. We've got several adapters, vehicle-specific adapters. If we don't have a vehicle-specific adapter for the vehicle that you're working with, we do have several universal adapters that will work on most all vehicles out there. After you get the adapter onto the reservoir, we'll take our new fluid hose, put it onto our adapter. We're going to open our ball valve, and we're going to raise our pressure in between 10 to 15 pounds. After we've got that hooked up, we want to take our vacuum hose, take our suction hose, take our suction hose, take our suction adapter, suction hose. We're going to turn our suction on. We're going to do the flush. We're going to use 2 methods of doing the flush. We're either going to use the OEM, the manufacturer's recommendation, by which wheel we will start at first and end at last, or we will just go to the wheel, start at the wheel farthest from the master cylinder, which is going to be the right rear. Go to the right rear, put our suction wand on there. We're going to open the bleeder, and we're going to watch our fluid level. When our fluid level gets down to the first wheel mark, we're going to close our bleeder. We're going to go to the left wheel. After we get there, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to open our bleeder. We're going to watch our fluid level. Once it gets down to the second wheel mark, close our bleeder. We're going to go to the right front. Right front, we're going to do the same method. Watch our level till it gets down to the third wheel mark, and we're going to go to the left front and do the same thing. After we're done doing the service, we're going to release the pressure off the machine, turn off our suction pump. We're going to take our cap, our new fluid hose, take our cap off the reservoir, make sure that our fluid level's where it's supposed to be on the reservoir, and we're done with the service. Before doing the PF7 brake flush, we want to go around to each bleeder. We want to check each bleeder to make sure there's no pre-existing condition that will prevent us from doing the flush. All we need to do is make sure we got, there, that's enough. We got a little drip coming out of it, that's good enough. We want to go to each wheel and do the same thing. The back 2 check out fine, we're going to move to the front. We've checked all our bleeders. The next thing we want to do is set up our machine. PF7 is air operated. PF7 is a 1 quart machine. We're going to go ahead and fill it up. Next thing what we want to do is get the machine hooked up to the vehicle. First thing what we got to do, we've got to remove the old fluid out of the reservoir and replace it with new fluid. So we're going to take our suction hose, suction 1. We're going to turn our suction on. We're going to remove all the old fluid out of the reservoir. Some reservoirs we're not able to get to the bottom of the reservoir with the large suction wand. What we do, we've got a small suction wand. It'll slide in the end of our large suction wand, and we can feed it down in the bottom of the master cylinder, removing all the old fluid. As soon as we get all the old fluid out of the reservoir, we just want to replace it with new fluid. Going to turn our suction pump off. Take our new fluid wand, take our new fluid hose, we're going to dial our machine up to about 5 pounds. It doesn't take much air pressure. We're going to open our ball valve. I'm going to fill the reservoir to the max line. We're going to fill the reservoir till it's full. We're going to close the ball valve. Don't be concerned if the fluid level isn't down to the reservoir line, the machine will still function properly. Next, we need to identify the appropriate adapter that will fit the vehicle. Go back to the reservoir. Make sure our adapters makes a good seal on the reservoir. Put our new fluid hose on the adapter. Gonna move back to the machine. We're gonna run our air pressure up to in between 10 to 15 pounds. 12 to 13 is sufficient. Move back to our reservoir. We're gonna open our ball valve. We're gonna watch our adapter where it fits the reservoir, make sure we're not getting any leakage. Everything looks good. Next, what we need to do is move to our suction hose or suction wand. We're going to go to each wheel cylinder and perform the flush. We're going to start the flush at the wheel that's farthest from the master cylinder, which is going to be the right rear. First thing we got to do though is turn our suction pump on. Then we're going to move to the right rear. Once we get to the right rear, we're going to take our bleeder wrenches. We're going to identify which one fits the bleeder. We got it the first time. We got 5 different sizes, and they all take a 9/16 wrench. Once we get our bleeder wrench on there, slide our suction tube up into the bleeder wrench, and we're going to open the bleeder valve. We want to position the machine where we can watch our fluid level. When we get to the wheel 1 mark, we'll shut the bleeder valve. I'm going to move on to the left rear. Once we're back to the left rear, slide our bleeder wrench on there, open it up, and we'll watch my fluid level once again. I get to the next mark. I'm going to shut my bleeder valve off once again, move to wheel number 3, which is going to be the right front. We're doing the right front, the same procedure as on the rear. Put the bleeder wrench on there. Open the bleeder valve. Once again, when I get to the third mark, I'll shut my bleeder valve. Go into my fourth wheel, which is going to be my left front. Same procedure. Put the bleeder wrench on the bleeder valve. Open the bleeder valve. Down to the final mark, I'm going to close the bleeder valve. I'm going to turn my suction pump off. Next, I need to lower the vehicle. We've lowered the vehicle. Next thing what we need to do is remove the machine, take the machine off the vehicle. First thing we want to do, we want to take the air pressure off our system. You got to turn your regulator all the way counterclockwise to decrease the pressure. Then you got to hit pressure release. It'll release the pressure all the way to 0. You want to do all this before you close the ball valve on your adapter, on your new fluid hose. If you leave this, if you close this while you still have air pressure on the system, well, if you take this off, you're going to have fluid squirt back at you. We don't want that. Brake fluid is corrosive and it will take off paint. What we need to do is close our ball valve. We have released our air pressure. Close our ball valve. Take our new fluid hose off. Take our adapter off. We want to check our fluid level. It's fine. Next, we want to test drive the vehicle. Make sure the brake system is working properly.